My name is Jaden Hill, your host for this week's show. Coming up, we've got Tyler Brewer talking about some of the craziest prop bets in the Super Bowl. Emma Noble will be bringing us some Kansas hoops coverage and why they seem to be struggling on the road. And Davis Clark brings us in with his take on the weather. All this and more coming up on Good Evening KU Sports.
Super Bowl week is not only the best time of year for sports, but it's the best time of year for a sports bettor. And today I want to highlight some of the craziest Super Bowl week prop bets. And yes, we'll be talking a lot about Miss Taylor Swift. On that note, welcome to Brewer's Bets. I'm Brew. Here's this week's bets. We'll start off with one of the more tame options, the coin toss. You can't have a football game without the coin toss to begin with, and of course, the sports books had a prop bet on what the results of the coin toss were going to be. Both options came in at minus 105 odds, but the coin was on the side for anyone who chose heads, as it was the winner. Moving on, American Airlines isn't a company I would think sportsbooks would be making prop bets about. That was until I found out that there was a prop bet on whether or not American Airlines flights 1989 or 1987s would get delayed or not. And talk about preying on someone's downfall, because the yes option was favored at minus 160 odds. Luckily for those passengers, both flights made it to their destination safe and on time. Speaking of Taylor Swift, there were prop bets that revolved around her and her show in Tokyo. If Taylor would have mentioned Travis at her show, then someone who said yes could have made some good money, with the yes option being put at plus 170 odds. Let's talk more specifically about the Super Bowl. There was a bet on who the first person shown sitting next to Taylor Swift would be on Sunday, and some of the guesses were just hilarious. Of course, you had Brittany Mahomes, who came in as the odds-on favorite at plus 100 odds, but as a shock to many, it was Blake Lively who was shown first next to the megastar. With that being said, though, at plus 3,300 odds, Mike Tyson was a serious option on some sports books. And honestly, this would have broken the internet, because the Swifties just started learning about football, and if they had to research who Mike Tyson is and found out he's biting people's ears off, oh my gosh, the internet would have been in shambles. To be honest, though, I think a lot of people would rather have their ears bitten off than go to a Taylor Swift concert, me included. And to wrap it all up, and this has to be the weirdest bet of them all, we all know Las Vegas is the home to Area 51 and all things extraterrestrial. With that being said, even this prop is crazy, because coming in at 100,000 to 1 odds, one book had the option to bet on if aliens were going to invade the Super Bowl, causing it to end in a tie. Now just imagine that for a second, but also, what if they did invade and just decided to enjoy the game and it carried on its plan? That would have been an all-time bad beat. Anyways, we're done with all the Super Bowl betting nonsense today. I hope you found this as hilarious as I did. Once again, my name is Tyler Brewer. Now let's send it to Harrison with his Super Bowl recap.
Thank you, Tyler. It was a storybook week for Kansas City, as not only did the Royals start it off by re-signing Bobby Witt Jr. to a $288.7 million contract, but the Kansas City Chiefs further solidified their dynasty status, winning their third Super Bowl in the last 5 years. Despite being 1.5-point underdogs, the Chiefs took down the San Francisco 49ers 25-22 in Super Bowl 58. Kansas City once again completed a 10-point comeback led by superstar quarterback Patrick Mahomes. Mahomes won his third Super Bowl MVP while racking up 399 yards of total offense, 2 touchdowns, and leading 3 scoring drives in the fourth quarter and overtime. Mahomes capped off his MVP performance with a game-winning drive in overtime in which he converted several key plays. Among those plays include a 4th-and-1 run for 8 yards, three different down conversions, and of course, the game-winning touchdown pass to Mecole Hardman to seal the deal. Despite first-half struggles, Travis Kelce had a monster second half and overtime, finishing the game with 9 catches for 93 yards, including a 22-yard catch and run on 3rd and 7 at the end of regulation, and a 7-yard screen pass that set up 1st and goal in overtime. Kelce made several headlines as he celebrated with none other than Taylor Swift on the field post-game. The Chiefs' historically great defense once again held strong against a 49ers offense with all-pro caliber players all over the field. The defense created a Christian McCaffrey fumble on the first drive of the game, forced the 49ers to punt 5 times throughout the game, and limited San Francisco to field goals on both their final drives at the end of regulation and overtime. Superstar defensive tackle Chris Jones forced several misfires from Brock Purdy by applying heavy pressure, and all-pro cornerback Trent McDuffie had a huge pass breakup in the end zone against Deebo Samuel early in the game. It is truly a special time in Kansas City as the Chiefs look forward to celebrating at their parade on Wednesday. Thank you very much. Now back to Jaden.
Thanks, Harrison. Stay tuned until after the break to hear more information on KU sports. From hockey to baseball to basketball, we've got you covered to keep you up to date on Jayhawk sports at home and on the road.
National champions deserve a clean campus. Don't wait for other Jayhawks to pick up your mess. Keep the University of Kansas clean.
For the first time in 4 years, the Jayhawk hockey team is in the Matcha playoffs. Brady Bergeli will give us a rundown on the game and what to look forward to in the team's future. KU softball began their season with the NFCA Leadoff Classics last weekend, which ended in a 2-2-1 record to start the year off, and baseball will start Friday, February 16th. KU basketball has had some significant struggles this past week with a grueling loss against rival K-State. Students felt the university owed them a day off classes after the mental strain of that game. Luckily, last Saturday brought a home win against Baylor and some relief to the fans. Emma is here to talk to us through the good and the bad of KU basketball right now.
Thanks, Jaden. Good afternoon to all the ranked college basketball teams who can pull off a road win against a non-ranked team who happens to be your biggest rival. Sorry, KU, your men's basketball team doesn't get a nice greeting today, but don't worry, there's still a whole month left for you to get one. Let's talk recent KU men's basketball struggles. Now, we're all well aware of the recent loss against K-State on last Monday. The game was played in Manhattan at Bramlage Coliseum, which holds a little over 11,600 people. Every seat was filled and the atmosphere seemed respectable, but it was still nothing compared to a game in Allen Fieldhouse. The game started off rough with Hunter Dickinson losing the tip-off, and a rodeo escalated from there. We saw KJ Adams foul out and Kevin McCullough just barely cross out of bounds when shooting a three that would have given us the lead into overtime. Mistakes that overall cost us the game. This isn't the first loss we've experienced on the road against a non-ranked team too. Back in January, we lost to West Virginia, who currently holds a record of 8-15. Losing on the road is a big issue come this time of year, as we creep closer and closer to the biggest event in college sports, March Madness. Teams who can't win on the road are teams who won't be able to excel in the tournament. So I know myself and everyone else are hoping for a turnaround on this bad luck road we're facing with away games. Now we're just coming off of a huge win against number 12 ranked Baylor. Our boys looked pretty good. The fog was electric, college game day had everyone hype, and the final score was 64-61 us. I'm so excited to see us use this momentum against Texas Tech tonight to secure a crucial win on the road. I get away games are hard, especially since our boys are used to playing in the greatest field house of all time. Shoot, I mean, even Kevin Sampson says it's the mecca of college basketball today. While it's expected for the Jayhawks to win playing at home, that feeling needs to carry on through the players for road games as well. I'm super excited to see our boys progress in the postseason, but that only starts by them picking up away games. That's what's going to lead us to eventually hanging another banner in the fog this year. That's all for me. Now let's head it over to Brady to talk all things hockey.
The Kansas club hockey team finished their ACHA season this past weekend with a trip to St. Louis to partake in the ACHA playoffs. After finishing the season with a 14-7 record, the Jayhawks took the ice, looking to secure a bid to the national tournament, which were set to take place on March 7th. With the weekend starting off with a game against Washington University of St. Louis, the Jayhawks stomped on the Bears, beating them 10-1, the second biggest win of the Hawks had all season. Next, the Jayhawks advanced to the semifinals, facing off against Maryville University, beating the Dogs 4-2 and securing their spot in the championship game against Mizzou the next day. In a high-scoring affair, the Jayhawks fell short of their eventual goal of winning the postseason tournament and securing a bid to nationals. But with the Mizzou Tigers, there was a bench-clearing fight that took place midway through the second period. They can take the ice this time. I personally, as a KU sports fan, am fine with being better at literally everything else than they are. Although we did not get the results we wanted, the Jayhawks were so tremendous in their improvement as a squad from this year compared to last. With a lot of returning players on our first line, look for us to make some noise next year and hopefully secure a national bid, junior forward Lance Medina told me. We have a great team and great parts, and I'm excited to see what we can do next year. The Jayhawks will play their final game, labeled as the rivalry on the rink, on February 29th versus Mizzou. This game will conclude the Jayhawks season and can hopefully get us some bittersweet revenge against the Tigers for stumping our Nationals dream. That is it from me. Now we will head over to Caroline for a preview of KU baseball and softball teams.
Thanks, Brady. The KU softball season is underway as the team competed in the NFCA Leadoff Classic tournament this weekend. The team played 5 games in Clearwater, Florida, and went 2-2-1 with victories against St. John's and Central Arkansas. Pitcher Katie Brooks recorded a career-high 7 strikeouts against St. John's and was named to the NFCA Leadoff Classic All-Tournament team. She posted a .82 ERA and 11 strikeouts. Sophomore first baseman Campbell Bagshaw turned heads during her first career start against Central Arkansas with 2 hits and 3 RBIs. Brooks and Bagshaw are definitely 2 names to remember this season. Coach Jennifer McFalls is entering her 6th season with the Jayhawks. The team went 5-13 in conference play last season, and their next game is tonight at 5 o'clock against USF, so be sure to tune in for that. KU baseball season is also right around the corner as the team will face off against UIC on Friday in Corpus Christi, Texas. Leading the team into his 2nd season here at KU, Coach Dan Fitzgerald has developed quite the roster. This year's transfer class is ranked number 9 by D1 Baseball and best in the Big 12, so keep an eye out for some new names. Jansen Reeder and Cody Shojinaga have all eyes on them after being named to the preseason All-Big 12 team. Shojinaga is returning to KU after his record-breaking freshman season with a .418 batting average and 42 hits in conference games. Reeder will be entering his final year of eligibility this season after completing his 2023 season with 16 multi-hit games and 12 multi-RBI games. Pitcher Reese Dutton is also one to watch as he was named to the NCBWA preseason All-America second team. He is a senior transfer from USC Upstate, hoping to make some noise here at KU. Last year, the team placed 8th in conference with a record of 8-16. All right, that's all from me today, Jayhawks. I'll send it back to you, Jaden.
Thanks, Caroline. I will definitely be looking forward to seeing how these teams play out in the season. Stay tuned till after the break to hear some more sports news from the Good Evening KU sports team. As we reach the halfway point in the NBA season, we can see the development, or lack thereof, in many teams and players. For example, Steph Curry is no longer an all-star starter, while Lillard was named an all-star starter for the first time in his career. Colton Keenan has taken a deep look into the NBA to give us a 360 view of the season at its midpoint.
Thank you, Jane. Well, we are coming up on halfway point of the NBA season, and there has been a lot that's happened. The Pistons lost 28 straight games, the Oklahoma City Thunder are the youngest but best team in the NBA, and the Warriors are bad, and Steph Curry isn't an all-star starter. 2024 marks the first time that since 2014 that Steph Curry has been healthy and not been an all-star starter. And this is the first time since 2013 that James Harden, Kyrie Irving, or Russell Westbrook are not in the game. It's crazy that the players we grew up watching are finally aging, besides LeBron, of course, but it's a new era in the NBA, and the 2024 West All-Star starters are highlighted by Jokic, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Luka, and of course LeBron. With Embiid missing the game due to injury, the East starters are highlighted by two-time All-Star starter Tyrese Halliburton, Jason Tatum, and Giannis Antetokounmpo. And the least deserving year of his career, Damian Lillard was named an All-Star starter for the first time. When I say least deserving, I mean it. Lillard couldn't even start an All-Star game last year when he dropped 73 points, but now he can start because he's on a team with Giannis. Jalen Brunson and Donovan Mitchell were 100% more deserving for the starting spot than Lillard. Both Brunson and Mitchell averaged more points and assists than Lillard this season, and they both are the go-to guy on their team. At least Mitchell and Brunson made the team, though. Don't get me started on how Trae Young didn't make the team. How does 27 points and 11 assists not start, let alone make the team? Luckily, the voters won't get too much hate, as Trae Young will be a replacement in the game for an injured Julius Randle. As for the West, I still find myself thinking how Karl Anthony Towns made the lineup over Sabonis. Sabonis leads the league in rebounds and will definitely be a defensive player of the year candidate this season. This kind of shows the recency bias of the voters, as part of the reasons Towns is in the game is because the Timberwolves are sitting on top of the West. Sabonis isn't the only Kings player who missed the cut, though, as Fox was also snubbed from the list. Fox should have made the cut over players like Devin Booker and Paul George, in my opinion, and every year it kind of just shows how the NBA All-Star Game is a popularity contest and not a spot for the most deserving players. However, the voting is done and we can't do anything about it. This NBA season has been great and the All-Star Game will still be exciting to watch. That's all I have for the NBA All-Star Game today, and now we're going to send it to Davis for the weather.
Thanks a lot, Colton. Taking a look behind me right now, we see over Eastern Lawrence. It's a really beautiful day outside, not a cloud in sight. That leads over to our temperatures right now. It is 52 degrees currently, so it feels not a lot like typical February weather out in here. It feels like 48 degrees right now. Now that's a little bit better because our regular average for this time is 44 degrees, with our record down there being 73 degrees. But our high is right in the middle of those, so it's a pretty good average about that. Going on over towards more of our viewing area, Leavenworth is at 50 degrees along with Kansas City. So everything is kind of along the same path. Everything feels the same. If you're over in Kansas City but over in Topeka, you're going to start to feel the same temperatures. And our dew points are the reason for that, because Topeka's at 30 degrees with their dew points, and everything else resides within the 26 to 28 range, which means that if it was 70 degrees outside, you wouldn't feel humidity as much, and that tails into this. Even though it's cold outside, humidity is still a big factor. So it's not sticky outside, it's a lot dry, and that's ways because of our dew points. Because the current satellite image right now, down to our southeast, we have some rotation going on down there, and then up to our northwest as well. The storm system moving down through there was going to pass us originally, but everything sort of veered towards the south. And our forecast for tonight, 28 degrees, clear skies, winds light and variable. So it's going to be pretty calm tonight, but diving in a little bit deeper into that, 7 p.m. is 40 degrees, so we start off a little mild, especially for February weathers, but down towards 1 a.m. we start to get more into that typical feeling for everything. Class planner for tomorrow, starting your day off at 32 degrees, and our winds, they start a little calm, but as we progress throughout the day, the winds start to get a little more intense, and so do our temperatures. It's up 60 degrees by the time we're at 4 p.m., so everything will start to feel a lot like spring. And if on Wednesday you're going to that Super Bowl parade out in Kansas City, the weather is going to be even nicer. Starting off 8 a.m., 36 degrees. As we move towards 4 p.m., 60 degrees. So start the day off with a jacket, but when you get down there, you might as well start to take it off and be in those comfortable clothes. Our extended forecast, Tuesday, tomorrow, high is 61. Everything, these next few days are going to start to feel warm, and especially on Valentine's Day. So take that someone special outside because it's going to be nice. But then Thursday and Friday roll around. We're starting to see potentially some flurries pop in early in the morning on Friday. Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, our temperatures start to gradually go down a little bit, start to feel a little bit more like winter, but then they start to head back up in the week. That's all for the weather. Heading it back to Jaden right now. Jaden?
Thanks, Davis. Sounds like some great information for those heading to sporting events in the next week. That's all for this edition of Good Evening KU Sports. Rock Chalk, and we'll see you next week.